Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA front office show. It is free agency eve. That's right. Free agency officially kicks off because we know tampering does not happen in the NBA. Kicks off tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern time. If you're joining us live, coming in from YouTube, coming in from Twitter, welcome in. We're going to be talking through the day's news. And oh boy, we've got a lot to get to. I was just telling Keith that we've got more on our list of topics for today than I think we have ever had. What an absolutely bonkers day across the NBA. I'm Trevor Lane. You can find me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane. Keith Smith at Keith Smith NBA. So Keith, yesterday we did the live version of our show as well. And some of the comments, and I did not realize, I didn't make this connection until I read this. They said our intro music reminds them of Mega Man.
I saw the same thing.
It didn't click. It wasn't something I thought of when I picked that music. But now that they've mentioned that, I can't unhear it. And I'm honestly a little bit proud of it.
It's so funny that you say that because I was kind of nobody can see it while it plays, or it can see us while it plays. I was jamming out a little bit. Yeah, I dig it. Mega Man's a great game. That was a fun game.
Yeah,
back in the day.
It was a hard game.
Nintendo too. Yeah, it was very hard. Yeah, and then yeah. I always thought Mega Man would be one like you could revive as like a cool TV show. I always thought that could be a fun TV show. But
I agree.
Anyway, people must watch the first 5 minutes of this and be like, "What in the world is this show?
What is this?"
Speaking of one interlude, bought my Thor tickets.
Oh boy!
So, you know what we almost thought about doing? They are doing it. It's only doing it in 3 cities around the country. They're doing a Thor marathon that starts at 6 a.m, where you watch all of the other Thor movies and then end with the new one. But I don't. Yeah, and it's like right in the middle of free agency. I'm not going to be going to bed till 2-3 in the morning, so I don't need to be getting up to 6 to go watch Thor.
That's I remember they did all the Marvel movies leading up to Avengers, and so you're watching 24 hours worth of movies. It's
27 or whatever it is.
You'd be there for a week at this point. But I will take issue with that. 3 cities is not enough. They need to be in Thor cities.
Well done, my friend.
Yeah, that needs to happen. You need to add one more.
Oh, look at that. Everybody left. No one's watching anymore.
No. And our viewers just left. Okay. Yeah. Let's get into the day's news though. And let's start with the big thing right at the top. Dejounte Murray to Atlanta. Oh my goodness. San Antonio Spurs joining the tank race, an early shot in the tank race, trading Dejounte Murray to the Atlanta Hawks. They get 3 first-round picks and Danilo Gallinari. This is the minor thing. This is probably the least important thing out of this. Does Gallinari stay in San Antonio?
No, it sounds like he's going to get bought out, or just straight waived. I believe, I have not run the full numbers, but I believe he had to increase his guarantee up to about $12 million for this trade to work. So that will, in order for that to get through, which is whatever for the Spurs, because clearly at this point they're done. So they're basically saying, all right, we're leaning heavy into the rebuild. So let's just move on. We'll eat the money. It's no big deal, and go from there. So yeah, I think he'll be gone. But yeah, it was to clarify on the picks too. 2023 protected Hornets pick that goes. That's lottery protect. It's I think top 16 next year. Top lottery protected, so top 14 the year after. Then it turns into 2 seconds. That's not the greatest pick, right? Because you're getting either a non-lottery pick or 2 seconds. Then it's an unprotected Hawks pick in 2025, unprotected swap rights in 2026, and an unprotected Hawks pick in 2027. So really kind of 2 picks and a swap, and then we'll see what that Hornets pick becomes. Maybe Steve Clifford does get them pushed up into the playoffs over the next couple of years, and that goes as a pick in the early teen or mid teens, I guess.
Jay Singh says Patty Mills, Dante DiVincenzo, Gallinari to the Lakers. Love you guys. We've got Lakers fans coming in here already. We will get to Dante DiVincenzo, Patty Mills, and all that kind of stuff. But thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, appreciate you.
How do you think this works out in the backcourt with Dejounte Murray and Trae Young now sharing a backcourt. I mean, on one hand, I can see it being complementary, particularly, Dejounte Murray's defense making up for Trae Young, but still you essentially have 2 point guards running next to each other in that Hawks backcourt. Is that going to work?
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm not so worried about the 2 point guards part. We're seeing more and more teams go to these dual ball handler looks where they're using 2 guys who can handle and create, simultaneously, whether it be 2 point guards, a point guard and a wing, or however they do it. So that part I think is fine. I'm a little worried. DeJounte Murray's not great off ball. So that's a little concerning. He's not a very good shooter. He has been a pretty good cutter, so that may work. Trae Young is a very good passer. But if you can get Trae Young working off ball a lot, I don't like to do the Steph Curry comparison because everybody's done it since that guy was at Oklahoma. But you could run at some of the similar actions for him, where you're really getting the defense moving. Let Murray create it, and the defense overly focuses on stay with Curry. Guys will slip open, or Murray will have driving lanes. So offensively, yeah, we'll see what it looks like when Murray's off the ball. Defensively, he's a huge upgrade. I mean, he's already by far and away the best defender on the roster. I don't even think it's close. And then we'll see from there. And now, what happens to the rest of the Hawks roster?
Yeah, they're not done.
No,
they're not done.
Yep.
I saw you put out there on Twitter that you think Kevin Huerter could go.
Yeah,
John
I think
Collins
there's a
has been
chance.
the name that's out there as well.
Yeah, John Collins definitely. I mean, God, we've been hearing that for I don't know, a month or more now. I think with Huerter, though, the reason why I go to Huerter is DeAndre Hunter. They're already saying, right, part of their whole thought process of clearing away some salary was to sign DeAndre Hunter. And let's be clear, they took on money in this deal for next year because they were going to just waive Gallinari, and they took on about $11 million. Then I think when we go into the trade guys, though, Bogdanovich maybe, but I think Bogdanovich coming off the injury, his trade value may not be very high. Huerter signed long term. I think he's a better defender than most people think, and I think he's also he's a good shooter, good passer, really knows how to play. I think he's somebody who could be gettable for a lot of teams.
And then if we flip over to the Spurs, this is just about starting up the tank.
Mm-hmm.
Victor Wembanyama. I mean, that's what we're looking for here. If you're the Spurs, this is the race to the bottom is getting kicked off here. What do you think about the value they got for Dejounte Murray? Do you like it?
I would have liked to have seen him get like at least a player in this, maybe get Jalen Johnson out of this or something. I think that could have been something at least there. I think they did okay. I don't know that DeJounte Murray had the right. They made the whole like we need a Drew Holiday package, and they didn't quite get that here, which I think was fine. Right, that's good to put out there. Put that out there in the world and see where it goes. And but yeah, I think for now this was fine. I just I didn't necessarily love it, the value, but I don't think it's bad by any means.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad either, particularly if they're able to get what they want and in the tank race, and then who knows, they can rebuild from here. And I don't think it's bad that DeJounte Murray is leaving the Western Conference. So
that's a little
helps.
easier for you.
So I'll say this though,
it does take. We'll say now though, right? We've been talking about the West. Sorry, I just wanted to get this thought out there. We were talking about how the West is going to be so tough. This does take one team out of the mix, right? So now we kind of get 3 teams that probably aren't really in the mix: the Spurs, Rockets, and Thunder.
The Kings are so happy that you included them in there.
Well, they're going to be trying at the very least.
Correct.
Right? Yeah,
correct. So when I started going through this list, I was writing down all the stuff that we had on our show doc here, and I got to it and I went, "That was today." The Nuggets and the Wizards completed a trade, and it feels like it was like 3 days ago, and yet it was not.
Yeah, it was this morning.
It was this morning. That's how crazy of a day it was in the NBA. So we've got Monty Morris, Will Barton heading to Washington.
Sorry, the reason I'm laughing is so you guys a little peek behind the curtain. there was a whole other trade, and we completely forgot about it until about 10 seconds before we were ready to start the show.
That's right.
So we'll get to that one
We
later.
will.
But yes, yeah, let's do this Nuggets Wizards trade, because I'm excited to break this one down.
The other one connects to some later topics too,
Yeah.
but we'll get there. So you've got Will Barton, you've got Monty Morris going to the Wizards. Now they've got their starting point guard. You've got KCP, Ish Smith going to the Nuggets. I know you were really excited about the Ish Smith part of this because it would mean a 13th team for him.
NBA record.
NBA record. So right, I mean, anytime records are being broken, like that's important stuff here. Yeah. This is one of those trades where on the surface you go, oh, well, I think this team is getting the better of it. And then you look at the money and you go, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's kind of where I'm at with this. On the surface, I think the Wizards are getting the better of the deal. But then when you look at the money and the future flexibility, you go, oh, okay, I can see why Denver did that too. And you wind up kind of right in the middle at I think a pretty fair trade for both sides.
Yeah, I think when I look at it, Monte Morris is probably the best player in the trade, followed by KCP. But I get it why they would do this this way. Let's do the Denver side of it first. Monte Morris, like you said, in my opinion, best player in the trade, but they're getting Jamal Murray back. So that's already 30 minutes per game at point guard covered, if not probably slightly more, right? Probably more like 32 to 35. So you only really need somewhere in the 10 to 15 minute range. Now with that, they've got Bones Highland, so they're ready to play him, right? He played really well as a rookie. I know that's your guy. I know you love him.
That's right.
So they want to make sure there's a runway for him to get plenty of minutes this year. So he'll be in there. They'll probably sign a third point guard, some kind of veteran or something like that. Somebody gets a little squeezed on the market a little bit later, and they can get him for the veteran minimum.
Dennis Schroeder.
Maybe. I almost was going to go DJ Augustin. But,
okay.
That it's Daniel says in the chat, when Keith wrote on Twitter, there's too much happening right now, summed it up when all hell broke loose. Yeah, I was a little overwhelmed at that point.
That was your Woj moment from like 10 years ago when all he tweeted out, it was like Woj froze and all he tweeted out, good Lord.
Yep.
That was your moment. That was trade deadline for Woj.
Yeah, that was trade deadline. And then KCP, right, coming in to Denver. I should have said they don't really need the veteran third point guard. They have Ish Smith. They'll just keep him. I don't even know why I said that. That's where my brain's at now. But KCP, I think, is going to be pretty solid for them. I think they needed somebody who could defend 1 through 3 on the perimeter. He can do that. He can make shots. He's a pretty reliable guy in that sense. So I really like it from their side. And then from the Wizards side, love it. They get their point guard. I think Monty Morris is ready. Proved last year he's ready to be a full-time starter in the league. I think Will Barton will help them at least for a year with a little bit of bench scoring. They have some stuff on the wing, but it's still a little bit of a messy wing rotation that allows them to bring Johnny Davis on a little slowly. So yeah, I think altogether this is a trade that really looks right now like a win-win.
What do you think this is any factor on Bradley Beal's free agency? And we're going to get to that in a minute, but
yeah, I don't think so. I think he's going to do whatever he's going to do, which I think is just resign. I think 601, 602, whatever. Tomorrow we're going to get the Woj or Shams tweet that he signed the full 5-year max deal.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. All right, I got a super chat coming in. Said y'all can share the question. Best worst case scenario roster depth chart. I'm assuming you're talking Lakers there. I appreciate the content. So Lakers Nation live show, that's going to be at 9:00 Pacific time. That'll be over on the Lakers Nation YouTube channel. So that's coming up later. We'll devote a whole show to just Lakers because there's not a lot Lakers to going on today. A couple of things: Wendy and Gabriel, Stanley Johnson. That's about it. But what am I sipping on? I've got Dr. Pepper Zero. That's what I'm rocking with right now. Little caffeine boost for the show. So that's what I've got. All right, let's.
Terry Lorenz says in the chat, I always watch the videos in 2 times, so it's weird hearing their normal voices. Dude, I do the same thing when I listen to podcasts. I listen at 2 times speed usually, and it's very like throws me off big time with that.
Yeah, I could see where that would be an issue. I try to make myself just listen at 1 time speed because I want to like really focus in on it. I find if it's too fast, because I'm always doing a bunch of other stuff, I'll stop paying attention to it, and
It just
I'll
becomes
start
like
focusing on
background
other
noise
stuff.
at that
Yeah,
point. Yeah.
and so I don't want that. I want to really dig into that, but that's my brain.
Yep.
Bradley Beal opts out, and a bunch of fans around the NBA tweeted out eyeball emojis when that happened. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's staying in Washington. I think he was opting out no matter what he was doing. This isn't a sign that he's leaving. I think he's going to get paid. He's going to get a lot of money here.
Yep.
Going to get a 5-year deal, and off they go. The way the wind is blowing into the NBA right now, it's get the money, figure out the destination later. I think he wants to give it another shot with the Wizards, and then if it doesn't work, he can figure out the destination a year, 2, 3, how many years down the road.
Yep. I think too with Bradley Beal, if we're a year or 2 into this and he's like, all right, I want to be traded, I think would hope Wizards fans at that point would say, it's been like a decade. Like you owe us nothing. Like, thanks for everything you've tried to do here, but yeah, we fully understand. Like, yeah, you're ready to go. So I get it. I think somebody's asking about Beal. Can he opt in and trade? He's already opted out. So that's done. All the options are done. Every option is done now. That had to be done by 5 p.m. today. So all the options are done. So there's no more change in minds or anything like that.
Right. It's no longer he's planning to do this or whatever.
Yep.
The other big one today, though, James Harden opts out of his contract, and it sounds like he's going to take a little bit less to open up flexibility.
That sounds like it's going to take a lot less.
Yeah, to the point where the 76ers are now going to have their full taxpayer or non-taxpayer, and their biannual potentially to use. They won't have to worry about the hard cap. I mean, that's huge. If you're the Sixers, now maybe they had to give on the back end of the deal. Maybe it becomes, we've been hearing maybe it'll be a 3-year deal. Maybe now it's a 4-year deal or something like that. Right? If he's taking a little less. So I'm curious to see exactly how the deal comes through. But James Harden taking less to help them out right now, I mean, that can be the difference between winning a championship and not, depending on what it is that you do with that extra flexibility. So that's huge for the 76ers to get James Harden to do that, because when the trade happened with the Nets, the thought was, oh my gosh, it's a fine deal for the 76ers, but a 5-year max deal, what is that going to look like on the final couple of years? That could get ugly. And
it feels I think would.
But it feels like the 76ers have kind of dodged that depending on the length of this deal. And now they've got him giving up even more money on the front end so they can go do stuff right now. So, I mean, this is a big win for Philly.
Yeah. And the reports are that James Harden has made it known he really wants to win. So that puts his money where his mouth is, right? And he takes a lot less and going to allow them to spend more money and go get some more guys, fill out that rotation. We'll see. There's still some rumors about a Tobias Harris trade. Maybe we'll see what that could look like. But yeah, I mean, Daryl Morey is like kind of full in his element right here of doing what he can to go get players around Embiid and Harden, and sounds like Maxey will stick, and then everything else will get fleshed out around those guys. I think it's, you can't ask for more, right? When your stars are willing to sacrifice and do their thing, why not?
Keith, I had so many Lakers fans that as soon as that happened, they said, why didn't Russ do that? They were so upset.
Little different situation.
The very different situation. If Russ opted out for even a second, if he was a free agent, the Lakers would turn off all the lights, pretend they're not home, and then they would change the locks.
Right? They'd move the team back to Minnesota temporarily.
Yeah.
Just to make sure you can't find them.
Take all their phones off the hook.
Yeah.
We're not here anymore, man.
Put a out fishing sign on the front of what is it? Crypto.com. Whatever it is.
Crypto.com arena. Yeah,
it's always going to be Staples Center for me for like the next 25 years. So, but that was, that's not the, Russ was not doing that. Little different situations.
Very different. Very different. Yeah. So much happened today that which is kind of like huge deal gets bumped back to like what our fifth story of the day. But the salary cap, it went up.
Yeah.
It went up again. So I mean, not by a ton,
About
but
another
not nothing. What is
1.6
it?
million. Yep.
1.6. Yeah. So I mean, it goes up a little bit. So that gives you what? I mean, a little bit more breathing room on a hard cap, a little bit
Mhm.
more breathing room on a luxury tax. I mean, now if you have a max salary player who's tied to the salary cap, their salary goes up as
Yep.
well. But still, overall, this gives you a little bit more flexibility. And it's not to say suddenly we see some like Kevin Durant to the Warriors is suddenly possible
Mhm.
or something. It's not that kind of an increase. Although it did look like it at one point this morning
Yeah.
with that Jake Fisher tweet.
Yeah. I think Jake would reword that tweet slightly
Yes.
differently if he could.
He said it was going up 10%, and everybody
Yes.
went, wait, what?
And it's going up
10%
10% from where it is
last
right
year.
now,
Yeah.
but not 10% from the projection. Yeah, 10% from the projection would have been like, holy crap. All these guys who opted in might have been like, wait a minute, I would like
Yeah.
to opt out now.
Never mind.
Yeah,
Um,
let's change your mind. Except for Russ. I think he still opts in.
yeah, he would. What's the real world impact of this?
Yeah, less so on the cap side of it going up because, as you said, all the max salaries, the min salaries, the rookie scale, everything else goes up.
It's tied
It'll
to it.
go up 10%
Right.
too. But the what does change is the tax line going up. That gives teams that maybe didn't have breathing room because current salaries, players are already signed, their salaries don't change. So
Right.
this just gives you more breathing room. So there's teams that, if you were, let's say 2 million over the tax, 1.6 million, now you're basically right there and you can, figure it out and get to where you need to be. So that is important for any teams there. It can change which exceptions teams might have had, the ability to use those exceptions. So yeah, I think this is really it's although it's a relatively minor amount from where the projection was previous, it could have some very big impacts for a handful of teams around the league.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if it turns into anything major, but if nothing else, it's some more breathing room. So important to note. I do have a super chat here. Said, will Troy Weaver, Esham 976, will Troy Weaver make another big move?
I mean, they've got one more day to use
Yeah.
up their cap space, and then going into the summer right now, their roster is really, really full because they kept all their guys. Lou Dort, they moved around. They're gonna decline his option, or did decline his option. They'll make him a restricted free agent, but with the idea of re-signing him. So yeah, I think maybe let's see what they do tomorrow, tonight into tomorrow, because it's kind of their last chance. Otherwise, I don't think they're done because they're going to move JaMychal Green, probably. They said they were, but yeah, I think they'll basically stick to what they have for now, and I think they like that, and I'm okay with that, honestly.
Now you're talking about JaMychal Green. You're talking OKC there.
Yeah. Dude, oh my gosh, I saw Troy Weaver and I went right to OKC. That is my fault, Isham. I'm an idiot.
For a second there, I was like going, could it be Sonny Weaver? I'm like, no,
Yeah.
if you went
Yeah,
Cleveland,
that was my
okay,
fault.
like,
Yeah.
but
All right, let's answer the real question he asked, since he did the super chat. The Detroit Pistons, yeah, I mean, none of those deals are done yet, which tells me they may all expand. They may do some different stuff. So let's see how those all come together.
yeah,
They'll probably be sitting on, I'm projecting, before they re-sign Marvin Bagley, which sounds like they're going to do for about $10 million. So they'll probably have, in the end, $11-12 million in cap space. So we'll see, where that goes to. But yeah, they're still going to be pretty active because they've got a lot of moving parts with them. I don't know why I went to do. I need to take a nap. I think.
that tells you how long of a day it's
Yeah,
been.
right.
That's where we're at. We're at that point of the day. Bobby Portis, we've got a lot of options to get into. Bobby Portis declines his option with the Milwaukee Bucks, but is expected to stay. He's going to get paid more, but I don't see him going anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't either. This was always the design with this 1+1 thing there. So yeah, it's that's how it's going to go. He's probably going to get close-ish, if not exactly his max, which is about 4 years, 49 million or so from the Bucks.
Right. From there, OKC declines the option on Lou Dort. That does not mean Lou Dort is available. Everybody out
Correct.
there on Twitter,
Yep.
fans of like every team were like, can we get Lou Dort now?
Yep.
No, they're doing it. They're declining it so they can keep him. And I know it
Yep.
sounds weird. Like you hear decline option and you instantly think that means the guy's going, but they're declining it so that he becomes a restricted free agent instead of an unrestricted free agent next year. So
Yep.
that's what's happening here.
Lou Dort and Jason Tate, same boat. After it sounded like the
Mm.
Rockets had initially decided to pick up his option,
Yep.
they flipped and changed their mind and they declined it. So they'll make them both restricted free agents. The most famous, best case example of this, Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets made him a restricted free agent after he had his couple early breakout seasons, and then got him re-signed. This is the kind of poster child for why you want to do this. Jalen Brunson. The Mavs
Yeah.
didn't set it up that way, and now Jalen Brunson is bouncing. So yep, it's gonna be tough on them. I had somebody asked, "Are you going to go live tomorrow? If so, do we know what time?" We will be live tomorrow, probably later in the evening though,
Yeah.
because we are we'll wait and let things really kind of get flying here a little bit, but probably 10, 11 Eastern is my guess if
like
we
that.
follow what we did last year.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Okay. I was surprised, and I think you were too. I think you projected the same thing. Patty Mills, I had him picking up his option, 6.2 million. Are you surprised that he declined that and is now hitting free agency?
A little bit. I do wonder if this is just, hey, let's, I'll come back, but give me a little bit more money and off we go. So that part doesn't necessarily surprise me if that's the way you wanted to go, but yeah, I do think it is a little bit of a different spot there. I apologize. It's that time of year. Gotta check the phone when it things. But yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I also do wonder if Patty Mills, like he's an older guy. I wonder if he's like, I don't want to deal with all this nonsense. I'm ready to move somewhere else. That could be as well.
That could be. That could certainly be. All right. Dante DiVincenzo hits free agency. Was not super thrilled with the Kings with being there. So now he hits the market. Some stuff going on with his contract where he needed to hit starter criteria and things like, and the Kings didn't start him enough games. And so he's going to go somewhere else. He was a guy I really liked the draft. I'm curious to see where he ultimately winds up. Not that he's going to be a big dollar amount guy here. He's not getting a huge contract or whatever, but I think he's an interesting skill set that somebody's going to pick up.
And I will get into the DiVincenzo while you take care of the bot in the chat. So with DiVincenzo, it is yeah, you're absolutely right. Things went south after he got moved to Sacramento. He was not happy with, as you said, didn't play enough and got bounced. So yeah, not thrilled about the way that all went. So that is tough. So I think what's going to happen now with DiVincenzo is I think the Kings might have looked at it and said, you know what, if we force him to stay, this is just going to be super ugly. The restricted free agency. Let's just let everything go, and we'll go a different direction ourselves, and see where this goes. Which it's a little rough because then they didn't get a whole heck of a lot out of that trade that they made for Bagley. I mean, they did get Trey Lyles, who I actually like. They picked up his team option, and I think he's actually a pretty good player. But this is kind of one of those moves where this might pay off later, and we may hear of a DiVincenzo's agent appreciated, like, hey, you let him free, and we'll take care of you down the line.
Very true. Those things do matter. Moving right along, DeAndre Ayton sounding now that Detroit has used up their cap space, and we're going to get to how they did that in just a moment, or has used up a good chunk of their cap space. Now doesn't look like they are a landing spot anymore in free agency. So DeAndre Ayton now, it seems like they're resigned to a sign and trade, and the Suns are on board. They don't want DeAndre Ayton at the max, and so they are very open to signing and trading him somewhere else. And there are reported to be multiple teams that will give him the max in a sign and trade situation. Now, we don't know exactly who those teams are, but if Ayton wants out and the Suns want him out and other teams are willing to pay him, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. It's just a matter of when and where.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is just definitely a weird situation. We'll figure it out. We'll see where ultimately this goes. But yeah, you start to run out of those spots where it's like I want your leverage spots, right? I guess that becomes your tricky part there for them. So yeah, I think I don't know. I'm struggling to find the landing spot for him
I mean,
right
like it's
now.
not Spurs now. They're tanking, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine it's them. I think they're going into a different direction. I don't think it's the Hawks
Could Chicago?
anymore. I mean,
I mean, they won a big.
maybe I guess
Toronto?
yeah, Toronto. It's gonna be somebody who's gonna come out of like completely out of left field, and we're gonna be like,
Yeah.
holy crap! Like they're going for Ayton, so
Right.
I guess we'll find out.
All right. Chat is saying Portland. Maybe, but
Yeah,
we've heard so
maybe.
much about them bringing back Nurkic.
Yeah,
I don't
just
know.
the trouble with Ayton is just to remind everybody, if he gets anywhere near the max, which would be just over 30 million, he only counts as 15 million on as outgoing salary,
Right.
and then he counts as $30 million on the incoming side. So that's really tricky to work around. That's why a spot like Detroit would have been very easy to do because you would have got him in there and go from there. But yeah, that's the hard thing. And also sign and trades for any of these teams that are at or near the hard cap line at the tax apron, they can't really do that. So like the Nets, I know there was a rumor about the Nets, but the Nets can't do a sign and trade
Right.
for him. And there was some suggestion of, well, he'll just sign his qualifying offer and get traded. If he did that and then gets traded, one, that would have to wait till December 15th. So that's probably already problem one. But he gets traded, then that becomes messy because he loses his bird
I
rights
was gonna say, yeah. How does that
on
work?
that spot. So yeah, so that's not. I don't think that's going to happen. Indiana, maybe.
What? Yeah, something with Turner.
Yeah, Miles Turner. Yeah, maybe you could do something with Miles Turner because then they'd offset the big tricky thing from there. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Another deal that went down. That this is the one where we went. Oh, we completely forgot this happened. The Knicks traded
Yeah.
Nerlens
This
Noel
was
and,
the one
and
that
Alec
we were
Burks.
like 10 seconds before we started.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that
Oh,
happened too.
this trade. The Knicks free up more cap space, more evidence that they're getting Jalen Brunson, who we're going to get to in just a moment. But they
Yeah.
trade Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks to the Pistons, and that eats into the Pistons cap space. Why did the Pistons do this aside from just apparently they're just in the mood to trade things with the Knicks?
Well, I'm kind of guessing from the Piston side, the thought might have been we can get a couple assets and maybe we can flip one or two of these guys
Correct.
the other way and maybe get more back than what we paid to get them, which is really not. I mean, well, we got paid to take them on,
Right.
and then it's kind of like you doubled down on having them on your roster. So that's kind of my thought on this because neither one of them really makes a lot of sense there. There's almost always when there's one of these trades, reporting comes out pretty soon after, which is obviously leaked by the acquiring front office of we really like him and we think he
Yeah.
can be a big part of it. And a lot of times, especially like at the trade deadline, 5 minutes later it comes out the players being bought out.
Right.
It's a little bit different in the off season because there's not the time deadline attached to making a bunch of moves. But yeah, I mean, you just drafted Isaiah Stewart a couple years ago. Then you just drafted Jalen Duran. You have Kelly Olynyk already on the roster. I don't understand what Noel's, he doesn't really have a fit there. And then Alec Burks, maybe he could help a little bit, but he's also hurt. So I don't know about what that would look like either, with him. So yeah.
In any event, this does open up more cap space for Jalen Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
And we did hear Jalen Brunson is now meeting with the Knicks, the Mavs, and out of nowhere, the Miami Heat. What,
Yeah, I tweeted earlier
what's
tonight
happening?
that if there's a good player on the market and the Heat want to get a meeting, Pat Riley gets the meeting, right?
Yep.
That's just we know how that works. The Heat are interesting. Let's see.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they do it, but I don't know. I don't know why you do it with Kyle Lowry, but I'm
If
not sure.
What
My
would this
guess,
be if the Knicks have been moving cap space like crazy. The Mavs have basically conceded defeat, right? That's what we've heard.
mhm.
Now the Mavs are sending everybody, Mark Cuban,
Yeah,
all the big guns. They're sending everybody to
I
go
think they're
meet with
bringing the
him.
chair
They're going to
from
bring in the
DeAndre Jordan
chair. Yep, they're going
saga.
to do
Yep,
that.
gonna block the
Um,
door.
they're going
Yep.
to try to do that, but it feels like we're at like 90% sure he goes to the Knicks. What would be the precedent if he were to suddenly shift and wind up in Miami after all of this that the Knicks have done in order to land? Like,
Yeah,
I'm struggling to come up with a scenario where there was this much evidence saying the player is going here, and then at the last minute, suddenly they're going somewhere. Maybe Darren Williams?
yeah, it could be.
Or no. Well, it would have been Melo. Well, but Melo was first, and then Darren Williams came out of
Yeah,
the blue to Brooklyn or to
yeah.
the
I mean,
Nets.
you could have. I mean, it's a much lesser caliber player, but like Marcus Morris. Remember the Spurs had done everything
Oh
to
yeah.
get
Oh,
him,
that's
and then
right. That's
they
right.
had to pay to get off of Davis Bertans
That's right.
deal. So like, and that got super messy. So maybe. I don't. Here's what I'm wondering is, and there's really no way to ever know this, right? Because a lot of these people can't even talk these things yet. Is the Are the Knicks dealing the guys to the Pistons because none of it has happened yet? Same as Jeremy Grant has not yet been dealt to the Trailblazers. Um, that's still going to happen, but
Yep.
it's just they're lining things up. Are those deals dependent on getting an agreement from Brunson?
It could
Because
be.
what you could see is like, hey, let's rewind this, and then the Pistons are like, that's cool. We'll move along with our $40 million in cap space, and we'll go another way. And maybe they do get in on DeAndre Ayton. I don't know.
Mhm.
The Jalen Duren part that'll happen. He's already been announced and shared at the Pistons presser for Jaden Ivey and him. So that part will happen. But then the Walker part will probably happen. But maybe Noel and Burks if Brunson changes his mind. Those deals don't go down. We'll see.
Do we see a Gordon Hayward situation with the Celtics here for the Mavs where this ultimately gets flipped into a big trade exception with a sign
Yeah, I
and
think
trade of
so.
Brunson?
Yeah, if you're the Mavs, if you're just losing them straight out into cap space, you 100% give the Knicks a second round pick or two to turn it into a thing. Here's the thing, though. Again, base year compensation comes into
Right.
play. So if he signs a $30 million max deal or something in that range, he only counts as half. So the trade exception will be half. But yeah, you'd still rather have a $15 million trade exception than not.
Is that what you're thinking? It's going to be 30 million. That's where this is going to end up.
It's going to end up close. I think what they may do is start close to the max in first year and then do declining deal from there.
I
The
like
Knicks
that.
have preferred to do those over the years. I think there's also going to be a big chunk of incentives in this too. That's how the Knicks have structured a lot of their deals. They'll be protected in this in ways that are not being shared right now.
Yep.
110 will not really probably be 110.
Right. Yep. That's what will get put out there, and then later on we'll find out what it really is. Speaking of the Knicks, Mitchell Robinson most likely back, returning to the Knicks. Now I know he got interest from like Toronto's looking for a big, so maybe there's some interest there, but sounds like he probably comes back. What do you think about that? I mean, you bring back Mitchell Robinson, you don't have Alec Burks anymore. Now you've got Jalen Brunson, Evan Fournier. I mean, what do you think about what the Knicks are putting together here?
I think it's okay. I mean, I think it's get you closer back to where you were a couple years ago. Probably not top four because I think that was just a weird
Yeah.
year for the East. But I think it is probably that puts you right in the mix to be at the bottom end of the playoff picture. 6, 7, 8. Maybe you're in the play-in tournament, and that's not. I think that's not the end goal, right? Obviously, but I like RJ Barrett. I think Julius Randle will be better with somebody to take some of the playmaking pressure off him. So yeah, I think that'll be good. So yeah, I don't hate this Jalen Brunson move, just because the Knicks they've been pretty smart to this point. So I think that's probably not the worst thing in the world.
Agreed. All right. Let's jump over to. I did have a super chat that came in. or Orlando and Bamba, Hartenstein, Gary Harris.
Yeah, so I can run through this one as the
Okay.
Orlando local. I almost said native, but that's not true. I didn't grow up here, so that would be very, very wrong. Um, all right, so Mo Bamba, no qualifying offer.
Yep.
He is going to be an unrestricted free agent. The
No
Magic
Bamba.
are no Bamba. Yep, no Mo Bamba.
No,
Um,
no Mo Bamba. Oh, even better. There we go. It took us a minute, but we landed on it.
there, yeah, just stay here, guys, all night. We'll be back tomorrow too for wonderful insights like that. He'll be, I think, will get moved on from their Wendell Carter and Paulo Banchero, and then Mark Stein had the news that they're lining up to sign Isaiah Hartenstein. We talked about this yesterday, I think it was, maybe the day before, but with John Wall getting the taxpayer mid-level from the Clippers, that kind of priced Hartenstein out. So that has him on the move. And if we remember, the Magic were content to sign a veteranish center last year in Robin Lopez. So I think they'll do this again. And Hartenstein's pretty good. He was tough. Now that's not a done deal by any means, but that's just what's being rolled out there as a thought. And then Gary Harris, I think again, probably the guy's probably moving on. The Magic have a bunch of guards and wings that they want to play, younger guys. I know they liked Gary Harris, but I think Gary Harris wants to be on a contender as well.
Sure. Yep. I think that's how that's going to go down. Let's jump over to let's go to Toronto. So Fred VanVleet, an extension with the Raptors. He's going to get paid, and he's kind of become, like, since Kyle Lowry left, he's kind of become the heart and soul of that team. So, I mean, not a surprise that they would want to sign an extension here for him. But what I saw out there was, 4 years, 110 million was what we'd be looking at?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it was. Yeah. Just getting Jalen Brunson money.
Does that feel right?
Kind of.
Like, do you think, are they in the same tier?
They're pretty close, I think.
Pretty close, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think if Jalen Brunson had more years on good teams, I think we'd think of him maybe a little bit higher. But yeah, I mean, I think I like VanVleet not a little. I like VanVleet
Defensively
better. Yeah, he's a better defender. Yeah. I get all tongue tied on that one. But
jumping over to Miami, Victor Oladipo looks like he might be leaving the Heat with the Wizards, Nuggets, Pistons. I don't know if the trade with the Wizards has any impact on this, but the Nuggets, I mean, I guess Nuggets as well, but
Pistons too, right? If they're getting Alex Burks,
all of this makes it different.
Maybe Victor Oladipo will be back with the Heat
at this point. What do you think his market looks like?
He's somebody I think you could go taxpayer mid-level for and see what that looks like there and go that direction and see. He looked pretty good at the end of the year, had some good games in the playoffs. So yeah, I think I think that's where you could go for him, but I wouldn't go much more than that. I don't feel that comfortable. And you also got to see if he's healthy as well.
That's the big question. Had his moments in the playoffs where he looked solid, but the Pacers and Grizzlies are pursuing Miles Bridges. Grizzlies. Oh my! Can you imagine if the Grizzlies? Oh, there was no pun intended there. Lions and Tigers and Bears. Oh my! That's where we're at. I'm not even trying anymore.
Perfect. Just flows.
That's right. The Pacers and Grizzlies looking at Miles Bridges. The Pacers makes sense, right? I mean, this is they're going to be looking to add talent.
Yep.
But the Grizzlies, if the Grizzlies land Miles Bridges and there's ways to clear some cap space, can they even get to enough though to make the Hornets blink?
Can they do it? Yeah, they can. So they're one of the teams that this helps a little bit, that the cap bumped up, especially if Bridges didn't have to be a complete max, which he probably would be. The Hornets did give him the qualifying offer, so they'd have the right to match anything that he signed. But if they move on or lose Kyle Anderson, Tyus Jones, if they could move one more contract, which they've got some guys who should be pretty easily tradable, like Dylan Brooks, for example. You could see him moving into a trade exception or to another team for cap space or something. They can get up to around that 30 million and then go for there. So yeah,
that'd be a really nice fit. Really nice fit.
Yep.
There was another transaction that went down. Taurean Prince gets an extension with the Wolves. I mean, So the second year is non-guaranteed, 8 million per season. Looking at the wing market, great job, Minnesota. Because I mean, the wing market, there's nothing out there. There was a chance he could get more, and it's worth it to just not have to worry about some other team coming in saying, "Oh my gosh, we need a wing," and throwing a full mid-level at Torian Prince.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're protected now. Go look at Torian Prince's numbers; they were pretty good. He had a little bit of an ugly playoff series against Memphis, but he had a really solid regular season. He was really tough for the Wolves all year long. So, yeah, it's it's great. I think this is a really good deal. It's essentially a 1-year deal. It gives them a little bit of control if they wanted to trade him and those kind of things. So yeah, I think it's really a good keep for the Wolves. I was going to say get, but it's a keep for them because he fills a real need.
All right, one more, and it's not minor. Damian Lillard extension potentially coming with the Blazers, $50 million per year on a 2-year deal. I've had to explain a bunch that look, the Blazers are trying to win right now. They're not planning on trading Damian Lillard. They want to win with him right now. I think this is okay. Let's give it one more chance here. Let's do everything we can. And if it doesn't work out here next year, maybe the year after, then we finally maybe see them move Damian Lillard. But it does seem like Dame is pretty comfortable with staying with the Blazers, particularly if they are committed to continuing to try to build around him.
Yeah, I think the idea with Lillard is getting him to sign for a couple more years. Just if you do want to trade him, he's locked in, right? At least then, he's traded in, and you can go from there. So yeah, I think that's a good one. Yeah, we have a couple of chats if you want to grab those.
Yep. Corbs, do you think OG Anunoby will get moved? Raptors are quiet, uncharacteristic of them this close to free agency. I don't think so. I think he's going to stay.
Yeah,
that's what we're hearing from like Toronto beat writers, is that it was all kind of blown out of proportion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think with OG, it's I don't think he necessarily wanted to get moved as much as they said. Yeah, is he maybe a little unhappy with his role? Sure, there's a lot of duplication on that roster between him, Siakam, Scotty Barnes, even Gary Trent Jr. to an extent. So, yeah, I mean, there's some, but I don't know. Raptors being very quiet. I don't think that's really uncharacteristic. I think they work pretty quietly in Toronto, but I do
clever
think
girls.
Yeah. What's that?
I said they're clever girls.
Yeah. Oh, well done. Well done. But I do think they're the team that I'm kind of watching. Like, if something comes out of nowhere, I think it's going to be maybe Toronto, because that's just kind of how they do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could definitely be a thing. Could definitely be a thing. JJ Ramirez says Patty Mills and Bobby Portis to the Lakers.
Man, I can
no.
I can both of them. Yeah, maybe one of them with the taxpayer. Not Bobby Portis.
No, it's not Bobby Portis. And if you are paying the taxpayer mid-level exception to Patty Mills, something went horribly wrong.
Yep.
In your offseason.
Yeah, because you've already got guards.
Yeah, you don't need guards. And so that's, again, I like Patty Mills. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but you missed in a lot of other places if you wound up with Patty Mills as your taxpayer mid-level exception guy.
Agreed.
All right. I think we got through it all. I'm trying to check and see just to.
Yeah, nothing is broken while we've been doing this. The Thunder apparently did decline the option on Mike Muscala. That's per Mike Scotto of Hoops Hype. So,
okay.
So that's something.
All right.
There. Yep.
A little bit of a surprise, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. Well, tomorrow, big day. I know a lot more is going to be coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, we do have the buzzer sounds, and then we finally get to hear about all the stuff that has gone down over the last few days.
Yep. And I know a couple people are asking, 6 p.m. Eastern is when things officially start.
No more midnight.
Yep, no more midnight. 6 p.m. Eastern. So we won't be live then, but we'll be live later in the evening. Probably what we try to do is we try to judge things slowed down a little bit, and we can jump in and get into stuff. And so probably 10, 11 Eastern, we'll go live maybe a little later, and then we'll go from there. But we'll have a lot of fun.
All right. It's going to be a good time. Hopefully you guys come and join us for that. Till then, everybody, stay safe and see you.